Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am back, as promised, with the case of Pamela Hupp. And to your dismay, I am going to split it into two parts, which I've never done before, but I've got like 9 pages of information on this case, and I just, like I said in the last video, I don't think I'm going to be able to hold anyone's attention for that long. So it will be in 2 parts. I'm uploading this one on Tuesday, and I'll upload part 2 on Friday. So you get 2 videos from me this week. So lucky you. I'm also then going to be back again on Tuesday with another case, and then with a special on Friday. Saturday? What day is Valentine's Day? Friday? Saturday, I don't know, one of those days. Whatever day Valentine's Day is, I'll be back with another special that night. I was originally going to do a few cases for Valentine's Day, and I might still. It just depends purely on how much time I get. I've got these temporary tattoos to stick on my face because the thought of spending hours trying to paint lips on my face and hearts on my face with makeup filled me with dread. So I've got temporary tattoos for my face. God knows what they'll look like, and God knows if they'll come off. Wish me luck. I have completely run out of time this week to film this, hence I'm filming it on a Monday and I upload it tomorrow, so I'm not going to sleep this evening editing this video. That's also a good reason to split it into 2 parts for me, because it's less editing in one go. But I hope everyone's had a lovely week and a lovely weekend. I've had the busiest weekend I've had in ages. I had a really social weekend, which is not like me at all, but it was actually quite nice to just get out of the house. I'm also trying to be such a good egg and put away 99% of my money into savings and just not spend any money, which I'm doing well with so far, but it is also the 3rd of the month, so we're not going to applaud me just yet, because I might break. I found the way to stop my shopping addiction at the moment, though, is just to kind of like ghost shop, where I've got like thousands of pounds worth of stuff in every app I own, like every basket, and just not actually going through with buying it. The only thing I did break with was buying TikTok shop cookies. I was really hormonal the other week, and I saw the advert got me at the right time, and I was like, yeah, I need some cookies, but there was just so many. I must have 20 left over, and I was trying to share them out at work, but it was too much. So very good value for money. So let's get into it. I believe I only have one trigger warning for today, and that is attempted suicide. So if that's something you don't want to deal with or listen to at the moment, that's absolutely fine. I'll see you for another case shortly. Content warning, as always, strong language. I do apologise if I'm breathing like really heavily. I don't know, I can't breathe. Like I said, today I'm going to be covering the case of Pamela Hupp and Betsy Faria. When I was Googling this case, if you type in Betsy's name, only things about Pam come up, which is wrong on so many levels. We should be focusing on the victims, not the murderers. Not that I'm saying she's a murderer yet, because I haven't got into the case, but we should be focusing on the victims, okay? That's my point. Betsy was born Elizabeth on March 24th, 1969 in Missouri, to her parents Kenneth and Janet. She had 3 sisters, Mary, Pamela, and I wrote July, but I don't think that's right. I'm going to guess June. I don't know, but I put July because I'm useless. Betsy was known as a fun-loving, genuine and caring person. Her friends would describe her as someone who you could always count on, someone who'd always be there for you, and because of this she had quite a lot of friends. After she graduated high school, she stayed friends with pretty much everyone from high school, which in my opinion is so uncommon. I don't keep in touch with anyone from school, and I don't think either of my best friends do either, so that's crazy to me. Rita Wilson was one of her closest friends who she went to school with, as well as a lady named Susan, who Betsy actually introduced her to her future husband. Betsy went on to have 2 daughters, Mariah and Leah, and she had always wanted to be a mother, so this was just a dream came true, and she absolutely adored them and doted on them. Betsy then went on to meet Russ Faria, and he was the absolute love of her life. She was the man that she'd been waiting for. Russ was born on the 12th of February 1970, and he was known as a loving man who just loved to be outdoors. My idea of hell. He was known for always wearing a fedora. It was his like signature look, his fedora. He was known to be just a big softie, because he can look a little bit intimidating, I guess, but he was known to be a massive softie, and he had a great relationship with his family, was really loving, caring, and he'd go and see his mum once a week to have dinner. So I think that says a lot about a man. I mean, there's a limit, because I've seen, what is it, I Love a Mama's Boy? There is a line. The pair dated for quite a while, and then they eventually got married on the 21st of July 2000. After they got married, Russ decided he wanted to go back and study, and he majored and then got a job in IT, and Betsy worked in insurance. In early 2010, the couple were looking at buying a new property together and starting fresh. And in the January, they found out that Betsy had actually been diagnosed with cancer, and this completely rocked both of their worlds. Betsy now didn't know how her life was going to look, and it was a really hard time for the couple. Luckily, though, they had an amazing support network around them to help them through this time. In March, the couple moved into their new property in Troy, Missouri, and later on in the year, Betsy went into remission, which it was just amazing news. Everyone was so happy, and to celebrate this, Betsy wanted to do a cruise with all of her closest family and friends to celebrate the start of her new life. However, just a month before the cruise, they found out that Betsy's cancer had returned and it had now actually spread to her liver. So it was very unclear exactly how much time Betsy had left. Regardless of this, though, she still wanted to go on the cruise and have a lovely time with her closest friends and family. After they returned from this, they still were in a very positive mindset considering the situation. And they just tried to live life every day to the fullest they possibly could. And Betsy was so positive about everything that was going on, which is such a hard thing to do and so admirable. Tuesday, December 27th, Russ every Tuesday had plans to go around his friend's house and they'd play some kind of game. I think it was like a role play game. I have absolutely no idea what game it was, but it was some kind of game, and they went around every single night to play this role play game. Every single night, every single Tuesday to play this role play game. So he had plans to go for a dinner with his mum first and then go to his friend's house. The night before, Betsy had stayed at her mum's house so her mum could take her to a chemotherapy appointment in the morning. And Russ had planned to pick her up from her chemotherapy appointment after he'd finished at his game night and then bring her home. Betsy texted Russ and said, "Oh, it's okay, don't worry about rushing. My friend Pam is going to give me a lift home, so don't stress." But she did realise she didn't have her house keys with her. So Russ said, "Okay, I'll leave one of the doors unlocked so you'll be able to get in. Just let me know when you're home, yada yada." So Russ's day, Russ went and got gas, petrol, diesel, whatever, petrol, fuel, you know what I mean, and some other stuff that he needed to pick up. Around 5:22, he texted his mum saying, "I'm sorry, the day's just kind of got away from me. I'm not going to be able to make it tonight. I need to go to my planned game night." At 5:56, he stopped at a convenience store to pick up cigarettes and Snapple. What is Snapple? Is that a drink? Picked up Snapple. If anyone could let me know what Snapple is, that would be great. I can't be bothered to Google it. He then stopped off somewhere else to go get dog food and eventually got to his friend's house about 6 o'clock, which is amazing because that's like 4 minutes. But yeah, that's what happened. A few of the other friends that were due to be at the game night had pulled out, so there wasn't enough of them to do the role play game that they normally did. So they just decided to have a chilled out night, a movie night, and they just all sat, smoked weed and watched movies. All of the guys that were at the game night left around the same time. They left around 9 o'clock, and Russ drove by himself. He stopped at an Arby's on the way home at 9:09 to get some food, cheeseburgers, something. I think he got 2 cheeseburgers. He pulls up at the house around 9:30, parks his car in the driveway and lets himself in. He goes inside, takes his jacket off, and at 9:40 p.m. he calls 911. And just a pre-warning, I'll play the call recording now, but it is genuinely heartbreaking. So, pre-warning, here's the call.
911, what is the location of your emergency? Okay, ma'am. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I need you to take a couple deep breaths so I can see what's going on. What is the address where you need this to come?
130 C-Mac.
Okay, what is the telephone number you're calling from in case we get disconnected?
I don't know this number. I know my cell phone number.
Okay, what is that number?
It's 314-565.
Okay, who am I speaking with?
My name is Russ Faria.
Russell, what's going on there?
I just got home from a friend's house, and my wife killed herself. She's on the floor.
Okay, Russell, I need you to calm down, honey, okay? I need you to calm down, take a couple deep breaths. We're going to get somebody on the way there, okay? What did she do? Do you know?
She got a knife in her neck and she sliced her arms.
Okay, calm down, honey. Is she breathing at all?
No.
She is not breathing? Okay. Russell, is there anybody that we can call for you?
My mom.
Okay, Russell, take a couple deep breaths, hon, okay? Okay, what is your mom's name?
My mom is Lucy.
I'm sorry, I can't understand you, hon.
Lucy.
Lucy? And what's her last name?
Faria.
How old is your wife?
My wife, she's 42.
32?
42.
42? Okay, and you're for sure she's not breathing right now?
No, she's dead.
Okay. What is your mother's phone number?
Her phone number is 636-265.
Okay. Okay, they're on the way, honey. They're just calm down for me, okay? Russell, how long were you gone today?
I left around 5. I just got back. But she was at her mom's, and her friend was bringing her home, so I don't know what time she got home.
And you said that, has she been depressed lately?
She's got cancer.
She does have cancer?
Yeah.
Russell, where's the knife now?
It's
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said, hon.
It's still
It's laying right next to her?
No, it's in her neck.
It's in her neck? Okay.
Oh my God! Why would she do this to me? Why would she do this?
Russell, they're on the way, hon, okay? They'll be there shortly. Is there anybody else there in the house with you?
No, there's nobody else here.
Russell, take a couple deep breaths, honey, okay? Was she on any medication?
She was on medication for her chemotherapy. She's been waiting chemotherapy today.
Okay, can you do me a favor? What I need you to do is I need you to get those medications for the paramedics, okay?
I think they're here on the table.
Yeah, we have everybody coming to you, okay? But what I need you to do is take a couple deep breaths and try to get her medication together, okay?
I don't know what to do.
So, you may have noticed during the call, Russ thinks that Betsy has taken her own life because her wrists are slashed, but they are slashed to the bone. Betsy had previously tried to take her own life, and this was how she tried to do it then, so that is why he came to the assumption that he did. When the paramedics arrived on scene, there was blood everywhere. It was everywhere. It was pretty clear quite quickly that this was not an accident. This seemed like a crime of passion. The injuries that Betsy had sustained were horrendous. Betsy's body had already started to go into like early stages of rigor mortis, so it was quite clear that there was nothing that anyone could do and she had passed away. But it was also very clear that this was not self-inflicted. Betsy had been stabbed through the skull, in her left eye. Both of her wrists had been slashed to the bone, and she'd also been stabbed in the throat, which is where the killer had left the knife. In total, there were 55 stab wounds to Betsy's body. Betsy was only 42 years old at the time, and they figured that Betsy had been dead for about an hour before Russ found her. Now, I'll admit I'm always the first to say the husband did it. But if you're a professional and you look at crime scenes for a living, you deal with homicides for a living, you should be more insightful than I am. So they weren't. And they suspected Russ immediately. Immediately they were suspicious of Russ. They were suspicious of how he was acting. They thought it was Russ. They pinned Russ from the second they spotted him. They said Russ was emotional, but he had no tears actually coming from his eyes, so they figured that this was acting. They said he was very up and down emotionally, which I kind of guess you would be, because there has to be some sense of, not adrenaline, because it's not a good thing, but there's got to be some sense of that sheer fucking panic and just distress. So you would be a bit up and down. One of the officers actually asked Russ why he hadn't gone over and embraced her body, like why he had no blood on him, which is a very wrong thing to ask, in my opinion, because if I came home, God forbid, not I'm an atheist, but God forbid, I came home and I found anyone that I loved dead in that situation, I'm clued up enough to know that you should not disturb a crime scene. Even if you didn't think it was a crime scene, you should not disturb a scene like that, because you can really fuck it up. You can put your DNA all over everything. You can wipe away someone else's. You can get rid of evidence by doing that. So I think that's why he didn't do it. Even if he did think it was a suicide, it still needs to be investigated, and he was probably aware of that. And I think if he had touched her, they would have been fuming about it. They would have been pissed off that he had touched her body and fucked up a crime scene. So it's a very odd thing to ask. This being a random attack was immediately ruled out, just because of the amount of stab wounds that Betsy had sustained. It was clearly a crime of passion. So investigators stayed in the house, and when they were searching everywhere, they went into the back of Russ's wardrobe and found a pair of his slippers, which had blood on them. So again, this just solidified their theory that Russ had done it. Bearing in mind there was also no bloody footprints anywhere in the house, so the slippers don't really make sense, but no one thought that through. They took Russ immediately in to be questioned, and he was questioned for 10 hours. 10 hours, and this is obviously working its way into the middle of the night, so he's now gone a night without sleep. Questioned for 10 hours. He was sobbing, he was shaking, he was crying, he was praying. He was clearly very, very distraught, but again, officers just thought it was an act. Now, Pamela Hupp was the last person to see Betsy alive, because she had been the person that had dropped her home from her chemotherapy appointment. Pamela Hupp was born on October 10th, 1958. She grew up in Missouri and attended River Garden High School. She grew up in a very, very, very strict religious household with 3 other siblings. 3 months after her senior prom, she found out that she was pregnant. So the thing you did then was you get married. So her and her boyfriend got married, and later on they would have a baby girl. Now, because Pam was pregnant after she graduated high school, she didn't get the chance to go to college, and she was very, very jealous of all of her friends who got to go to college. She felt like she'd really missed out and was being left out. And the marriage between her and her high school sweetheart boyfriend lasted 6 years before they eventually separated. Pam then got married to a man named Mark Hupp. The 3 of them moved to Florida in 1989, and in 2001 they welcomed a baby boy before moving back to Missouri, and the couple made a living together flipping houses. She did previously have several different jobs within insurance companies and firms, but she was sacked twice for forging signatures. Somehow she got another job within an insurance firm, and this is where she met Betsy. This is random, but I feel like it's worth kind of noting. So while she was working there was a car park, I believe out the front or out the back, there was a car park where everyone parked. And After she started working there, loads of people's cars kept getting keyed, which everyone thought was just really bizarre. Like, who's coming and just keying everyone's cars? And it was also happening in the neighbourhood where Pam lived. Everyone's cars were getting keyed, which is a weird hobby. A few of Pam's neighbours also received anonymous, threatening, scary letters as well, which is just so odd. At the time, I don't think they suspected that Pam had done this, but looking back, they kind of think it was Pam. So one day whilst Pam was at work, she injured herself and then left her work and she ended up claiming disability from the state. And this is where her and Betsy lost touch. However, then once word had kind of got round and Pam realised that Betsy had been diagnosed, this is when Pam reached back out to her. Soon, Pam became a massive part of Betsy's life. She was going with her to literally all of her chemotherapy appointments. Even if someone else was taking Betsy, she would still go, which is supportive. Yeah, it is supportive. I'm not going to be a bitch. Pam didn't end up going on the cruise with everyone else. I think she was quite a cheapskate and she was just like, saw the price and thought no. So she didn't end up going on the cruise. But when Betsy got back, she was like glued to her. She spent like every day with her from her coming back. And this is where Betsy confides in Pam and says about her life insurance policy and expresses concern over Russ's, what's the right word? Yes, self-control in a way. She was concerned about leaving such a large sum of money directly to Russ because she was worried that he would, I think she used the term piss it up the wall. And Betsy wanted to make sure that there was stuff left over for her daughters. She wanted to make sure she could give them a start in life when she was no longer here. The week before Betsy was killed, Pam and Betsy went to play tennis together or watch tennis. They went to the tennis club together. And after that, they then went to the library where they used the librarian as the witness to Betsy signing over her life insurance into Pam's name. So Pam was now the sole beneficiary of Betsy's life insurance, which was for $150,000. Pam, of course, agreed to keep the money and look after the money until Betsy's girls had turned 18 and then it would all go to them. After this was completed, 4 days later, Betsy was murdered. The letter of changing the beneficiary of the life insurance hadn't even reached the insurance office yet. It reached it the day after Betsy had died. But for some reason they still changed it over, which I don't think is right. I don't know the legality behind that, but it just doesn't sound right, does it? Like, it just, surely that shouldn't have been done. So Pam was, of course, questioned by police as well, because she was the last person to see Betsy alive. And when Pam was questioned, her justification for her not being the murderer was that, wouldn't I wait until the insurance had reached, what's the word? Wouldn't I wait until it had properly changed into my name before killing her? And also, if I wanted loads of money, I have loads of other family members that I could kill that could give me a lot more money, which is the weirdest thing to say. But the weirder thing, the police just went, oh yeah, good point. Yeah, fair, you're free to go. Like, sorry, that's not a normal thing to say. So this is where I'm going to leave you for part 1. I'm sorry if it wasn't long enough and part 2 is massive, but this is where I think would be the best place to leave you, where it's not going to get really, really complicated, okay? So I will be uploading part 2 on Friday. Make sure you go there. If you click on part 2 first, you're going to have to come back here because it's going to make absolutely no sense. But I will be blessing you with part 2 on Friday. If you absolutely hate me splitting videos into part 2, please make me aware, because at the moment I'm not aware. Do I do a positive thought? I'm also not changing my t-shirt, because what's the fucking point? We all know I'm filming it all in the same night. So until Friday, make good choices, be fucking careful who you make friends with. I'm not sure life insurance policies should exist. Don't get murdered. I'll see you Friday. Love you, bye. I've made it worse. How have I made it worse? Oh, God, that's not good. Why am I shaking? This is thick. Tuesday, gas, petrol, diesel, whatever. Petrol, fuel, what is it? What is Snapple? All of the guys were at the... We had a few years previously, household with 3 who got to go